with the time at 31 minutes past 8. Good morning.
Morning. Hi.
Good morning. Okay, so I assume that we're going to go from the worst to the best.
We never say that, but you wouldn't be wrong.
Okay, so...
no, actually, no. It's a toss-up between number 1 and number 2.
But, really? That's that bad. Okay. Yeah. Tomb Raider.
Tomb Raider 2018, because I think the first Angelina Jolie movie was also called Tomb Raider. The reason why I say I think was I never saw the Angelina Jolie movies, and guess what? I have never played the video game. So I'm about as far away from the filmmaker's target demographic as you're going to get.
But you're going in with fresh eyes.
I'm going in with fresh eyes. I have no I had no preconceptions. Other people said, oh, Laura, the other one was better, and this was better, and that was better. And I said, look, I wouldn't know. I never saw the others, and I never played the game, so I don't know. So this version stars Alicia Vikander, Oscar winner Alicia Vikander, who plays Lara Croft, the heiress who has a penchant for adventure and puzzle solving. And it's based on the 2013 video game of the same name, which saw the cartoon Lara lose her porn star Barbie doll measurements. The original version of Lara Croft looked like the woman who's involved with Donald Trump in the news these days, or at least her body measurements did. So now she's been adjusted, and thankfully so, because she looks very nice. Now, the story is barely able to make ends meet, though she's potentially sitting on a fortune that she can inherit from her industrialist/archaeologist father. All Lara needs to do is officially declare the man dead, and the estate will be hers. But after 7 years of his being missing, she isn't ready to throw in the towel yet, because she still thinks her father is out there somewhere. Now, Lara loves solving puzzles, and she uncovers his private office underneath their stately manor. And she learns that he had identified an island off the coast of Japan where Himiko, the mythical queen of Yamatai, sounds like Yamate, but it's Yamatai, is entombed. And she's convinced that that's where he is. So she goes to Hong Kong to find Lu Ren, who supposedly took her father to that island. But instead she finds Lu Ren's son, who's also named Lu Ren, and he's played by Hong Kong resident Daniel Wu. I thought Daniel Wu was from Hong Kong, but he's not. He's from California.
Oh.
Yeah, he's born in Oakland, California, but he's lived here from time to time. And he tells her that his own father went missing at the same time. So he agrees to take her to this island, and in true Tomb Raider fashion, Lara must overcome a series of physical and mental challenges to get there safely. Now, when she's on the island, she bumps up against the evil Matthias Vogel, played by Walton Goggins, who loves playing. He's cast as bad guys quite a lot, and he does it quite well. He's a rival archaeologist who's on a mission for a shadowy organization known as Trinity to find Himiko's tomb. So Lara's challenge is to leap over chasms, cross a raging river, dodge bullets, shoot arrows, and solve even more puzzles to find the tomb before Vogel can, and then destroy it before Trinity can use its power to nefarious ends. So if you've never played the video, that is the video game essentially, or I've been told that is the video game essentially.
Sounds a bit like Raiders.
Well, funny you say that, because at the end of the screening, one of my colleagues called this film Raiders Light. And I would have to agree. Yeah, it's very similar to Raiders of the Lost Ark and not as good. So
Okay.
Now I'll concede I liked Alicia Vikander in this role. I thought she did it very well. She apparently put on 12 pounds of muscle, and for somebody who's 5.5 feet tall, that's a lot of muscle.
And she did much training.
She did a lot of training, and she is a dancer. She was a dancer before she was an actress, so she can move. So she does the stunts very well, and the challenges get progressively more complex, just like in the video game. So I appreciated that, but as I said, I'm not this movie's target demographic, and I found this film really left me feeling meh. So I was like, sort of, okay,
but younger people might like it.
Younger people might like it. I was like, yeah, it's all right. Didn't really care for it. Now, it was nice to see Hong Kong on the big screen, but it was all CGI. The filmmakers never came here. I actually had to check because it really looks good. So the backdrop is Aberdeen. It's very funny because they say it's Aberdeen and they say it's Wong Chuk Hung, but it actually is Ap Lay Chow. I know because I lived on Ap Lay Chow for 8 years. So but it's really
Do write to them and tell them.
yeah, but it's really CGI. For Americans, they wouldn't know the difference between Wong Chuk Kong and Appalachia Chow, but
well, neither would anyone else who didn't live in Hong Kong.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
It's true.
Let's move on to a British biographical drama.
Yeah, okay. I just want to say last thing about Tomb Raider is, the Hollywood loves the potential of making franchises, and I think this one will probably, it's not getting great reviews, but it'll probably make enough money to warrant another sequel. So that makes the suits at Warner Brothers very happy. Okay, next film, Goodbye, Christopher Robin, which curiously doesn't have a comma in the title. It should be Goodbye, comma, Christopher Robin, but this one doesn't have it. Now, some stories are better left untold, in my opinion. Like, for example, did we really need to know that Joan Crawford was a lousy mother? If you remember, there was the book written by her daughter Christina, which was made into a movie called Mommy Dearest, where we learned all about Joan Crawford's horrible parenting. And the same can be said about this film, what this film is all about, because A.A. Milne, the creator of the Winnie the Pooh series, and his wife Daphne, according to this film, were horrible parents to their son, Moon, whom the world knows as Christopher Robin. So their son's real name was Christopher Robin, but he didn't call himself that. So as I'm watching this film going, do we really need to know that they were bad parents? I'm not so sure. And even if it changes our opinions of A.A. Milne, hopefully, and I doubt it will, have any effect on the world's love of Winnie the Pooh and Tigger Too and Christopher Robin and Kanga and Roo and Owl and Piglet and Tigger. I think those were all the characters, weren't they? I can't remember. It's been a long time.
Right.
Yeah. So in the movie, the film stars Donald Gleason, who's been in everything over the past few years. He's in the 2 new Star Wars films. He was in American Made, Brooklyn, Ex Machina, along with Alicia Vikander, by the way. And he plays A.A. Milne. And the story is, I don't know how much this is true, but returning home to London after fighting in the Great War, i.e. World War I, he tries to resume his once successful career as a playwright, but he's haunted by the memories of the bombs and shells that fell around him. Today we would call that PTSD, but back then they didn't have a name for that. I think they called it shell shock. And because of that, he's not able to focus, to put pen on paper. Daphne, who's played by Margot Robbie, she loves the high life that his fame has brought her, and she pushes him to write more plays because it'll make him, richer and make her happier. But there's no hope for him. And before long, she becomes pregnant, later giving birth to Christopher Robin. And she's disappointed because she wanted to have a daughter and they had a son. So she doesn't really bond with the little boy, and instead she turns his care over to a nanny named Olive, played by Kelly MacDonald. If you've seen the TV show Boardwalk Empire, you'll know who she is. Now, as little Christopher Robin, whom they call Billy, gets older, Milne finds that his home is too noisy to concentrate, so he relocates the family to a house in the country. Daphne, however, she misses London, she misses the parties and everything, and she takes off. She leaves them, which was bizarre. And the boy's about 4 or 5 years old when this happens, but at least he has the nanny whom he loves and loves him back, and he has his stuffed animals as his only friends. But after a short period of time, the nanny also has to leave because she has to look after her mother, and now it's just his A.A. Milne, who's known as Blue, and Christopher Robin, who's known as Moon. They're the only people in the house, and they have to look after each other. So they go on walks in the woods, and Blue starts thinking up stories about little Christopher Robin and his stuffed animal friends. So that's the genesis of the whole story. So Milne realizes that he's on to something with these stories, and he pens what would become the first of 4 books about Winnie and his friends. And it's an immediate hit with the public, and children all across Britain want to meet Christopher Robin. But little Moon would rather live in anonymity, and he doesn't like all this attention that he's getting. Unfortunately, his parents are pimping him out, to put it rather crudely. They want to sell more books, and they drag him to all these photo shoots and book signings and everything so people can see the real Christopher Robin. So the kid naturally is resentful of all this. It puts distance between him and his parents. Apparently, true story, after his father died, he didn't talk to his mother again. So he had nothing to do with her as an adult. And he was very resentful of how he was treated. So, I don't know, as I said, I don't know that we needed to know this story because, this is the story of Winnie the Pooh has so much magic around it that I felt that this was a real downer of a film, in my opinion. As the closing credits rolled, I said to my colleague that the problem I had with this film is that Disney didn't make it. It lacked that Disney touch, the magic of something like this. Now, in fact, Disney is making a film coming out later this year called Christopher Robin. I think it's called Christopher Robin. But it's based on Christopher Robin and Winnie the Pooh characters. So it's fiction, but using these characters. And hopefully the magic will come back. But the problem I had with this film again is it's a story that I don't think we need to know. I didn't like that the way the characters were written. So the performances of Gleason and Robbie didn't do anything for me. So I think the writing was really the weak part here of the story. And also the little boy, okay, it's his first film. He's cute. He's cherubic, but he only had two expressions. One was to be cherubically cute, and the other was to pout. And also the director, Simon Curtis, he didn't age the character for those few years. So, in those years, let's say from 4 to 8, as Milne was writing these books, it was the same kid who didn't age at all. And I thought that was sort of a mistake. So to me, this is a very weak film, very disappointing. Go see it. Don't go see it. It's rather ho-hum, in my opinion. Disappointing. But now let's get to the good film. Game Night. Now, as we were talking off air, you saw the trailer. Yes. And what do you want to say about the trailer?
I just thought it was so funny that I said to myself, this is going to be very entertaining. I must see this film.
Well, it's interesting. I had that reaction and the opposite. I saw the trailer and I went, this is either going to be really good or a complete train wreck. And I'm happy to say that it's really good.
Good.
Yeah.
So now I know.
Yeah, it's really...
Definitely going to watch it.
It's very, very funny. Now, it's interesting. Writing comedy seems like it should be an easy thing to do, and there's a lot of comedies, but most of them are bad. Writing comedy is hard because it's hard to write 90 minutes, 120 minutes of sustainable humor.
Delivery by the actors.
And delivery by the actors. Well, we're very fortunate. We have really good writing by a fellow by the name of Mark Perez, who's a graduate of the Disney ABC writing program, which is one of the best writing programs in the entertainment industry. He's written a couple scripts, but this is probably his biggest to date. And it's directed, very interestingly, by two guys, John Francis Daley and Jonathan Goldstein, who did Horrible Bosses, not my favorite film. But John Francis Daley, you might know. Do you ever watch the TV show Bones?
I used to.
So he was the nerdy guy, the psychologist.
The nerdy psychologist.
With a very sort of youthful face.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that's right.
Yeah,
that's John Francis Daley. So he's directed this film. He also writes. Now, interestingly, my connection with John Francis Daley goes back to 2001 to his very first movie called Allard Fishbine's in Love. And it's a short film that I brought to my film festival back in 2001. So I've known him since he was 15 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. And now he's 31 and making movies.
Directing, right. Well, he had to do something else after Bones.
After Bones. Well, he probably made a lot of money doing that. Isn't Bones still on? I don't know.
Is it?
I don't know.
No, I gave up many seasons.
Yeah. Because apparently the two actors didn't like each other in real life.
Ah.
I think they even got married on one season, didn't they?
Yeah. That's when I stopped watching.
Yeah.
But it's never the same when two people get together.
Get together, right?
That
the
magic,
dynamic.
The tension,
Yeah.
And once they actually do, it's like I lose interest.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people feel exactly the same. It's just a natural reaction.
Interesting. Yeah, but from what I hear, they did not like each other in real life, or do not like each other. So anyhow, the story in this film is that Max, played by Jason Bateman, who is the man to go to for sort of these type of comedies, and Annie, played by Rachel McAdams from London, Ontario, Canada. Yay! They're your everyday, fun-loving couple next door who love love to play games. Charades, Trivial Pursuit, Risk, Scrabble, The Game of Life. They love all these games. And they're extremely competitive. And they're fortunate enough to have found kindred spirits in their friends. First one being Ryan, who's a dumb blonde, who's a serial bimbo dater. He's played by Billy Magnuson, whom he's been in a few films, but I think you're going to see a lot more of him after this film because he's wonderful. And married couple Kevin and Michelle is also Canadian. She comes from Hamilton, Ontario, where I did my master's degree. And her real name is Kylie Bunbury. Now, their next-door neighbors, policeman Gary, played by Jesse Plemons, who people would know from TV's Breaking Bad, and his wife Debbie, they used to take part in the group's weekly game nights, but since they got divorced, they've been excluded from the fun, much to Gary's disappointment. Now, on this particular game night, Max's brother Brooks, played by Kyle Chandler, who has been in Manchester by the Sea and The Spectacular Now, and people would know him from Friday Night Lights, he decides to join them. Now, Brooks, is more successful and even more competitive than Max, and he offers to amp up the group's night together by arranging a murder mystery for them. This is all in the trailers. I'm not revealing anything here. The team that solves the murder mystery first, Brooks tells them, will win his brand new Mustang Stingray. Now, the group agrees, and the game begins, except that it's not a game. Brooks, it turns out, is not who he pretends to be, and the problem with that is that the others don't realize it until they're well into the game. So they think this is all fun, but it's not. It's serious. So this is just a truly enjoyable film from beginning to end. The jokes are wonderful. They hit right on target. They're spaced out far enough that you'll be able to catch them all over your and everybody else's laughter in the audience, because everybody in my audience was laughing like crazy. And they're close enough together that you won't be tapping your fingers waiting for the next one to come around. So really, really well-written script, well-directed, well-acted. I mean, just wonderful film. As I said, well acted. All the principal actors do wonderful work with great comedic timing. The best one, though, is Jesse Plemons, who plays the cop next door. He plays it with complete deadpan creepiness. And if you see the trailer, you'll see evidence of that as well. The only person I was disappointed with was Michael C. Hall, who played Dexter on TV. He plays a character named the Bulgarian, and I just thought he was miscast. But that's the only negative thing I can say about this film. There are some hilarious sequences involving Gary's dog, which is also in the trailer, and a gunshot wound that will have you rolling on the floor with laughter. And there's a sequence involving a Fabergé egg that is so well staged and so well edited. I don't know how many cuts they had to do or how many takes they had to do it, but it is done to perfection. So this one, I give this one 2 huge thumbs up. This is the film you need to see this weekend. So that's my choice for this weekend. Go see it.
Nights.
Game night.
Game nights. Okay, thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you. Howard Elias.
See ya.